Hey folks, welcome to CMiTV Country Music Internet Television. I'm Paul Anthony, the host of this one, not just the executive producer, but they threw me in the host position. I think it's great. A lot of fun. We have a whole lot of wonderful guests coming up, and we've got a real special one on this episode. Mr. Wendell Furguson from Canadian Country Music. Wendell, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Paul.
Welcome
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's my honor, not only that I've had you on my show, my music Johnny Cash show, and we've worked together, but we've worked together in the recording studio, and we've actually done quite a bit together.
Yes,
and I'm really happy to be in your circle and
Right
in your
back
company.
at you, my friend.
And I'm thankful that you're here. I remember when I reached out to you, I needed a guitar picker for a show, and you said to me, I'm going to get back to you in about 3 days. And you got back to me and you said, no matter who you spoke to about me, I turned up roses. Now, I'm not sure if that meant that I was buried or I was good enough to work with. Maybe take it from there.
Fertilizer, I'm thinking. Fertilizer.
Anyway, I'm blessed to be in your circle and blessed that you're here today to help us out with CMiTV and really to help out with not just Canadian country music, but country music as a whole, and not just singers and songwriters or guitar players, but the people that make the music, whether it's the music players at the radio level, or whether it's sidemen like Dougie Johnson, steel guitar player, or you can name a whole whack of them. You know absolutely everyone in the industry on both sides of the border, not just here. But maybe you can tell our viewers and take it way back to the beginning for you. And I don't know what or when that was, when you decided that music is maybe something that you wanted your life to be about. So maybe tell our viewers about that if you could.
Well, a lot of people think I've been blessed because I know a lot of young people, and I say young, they're in their 30s and that, and they still haven't found a vocation or a direction or something they want to do, and they're kind of aimless. I was so lucky. I knew at 7. I just wanted to play the guitar. I got a guitar for Christmas when I was 7, and just before I was 7. And for 3 months, I just strummed an open chord, and my mother said, "Oh my God, get him lessons. I can't stand it any longer."
Yeah.
I took lessons for 4 years, from 7 to 11, and then I hated it. I knew where the notes were. I could read music a little bit, but I wasn't learning what I wanted to play what I heard on the radio.
Yeah.
Whereas they were teaching me Red Sails in the Sunset, Streets of Laredo. I saw 3 ships come sailing in, and I wanted to do. So it was not a good mix. That turned me off lessons, but it didn't turn me off music. Then I just dug in harder, and I learned off records. And in those days, there was no YouTube and no, you couldn't get lessons
Is that
online.
the time, Wendell, you'd have to pick the needle up,
needle
back
up,
the
put it
record
back.
up? Man.
A million times till you hear, what's he doing? What's he doing? And you do that, and it takes over your life. And now when I see on YouTube that says, "Hey man, you got the tab for that?" It's like, we didn't have tab when I was a kid. We had to figure it out. You had to get a guitar and figure it out. That's how you develop your ears. Anyway, I sound like an old man. I am an old man. But that sort of led me on that path, and then I knew I had gaps in my knowledge. I didn't know a lot of harmony theory and that, so I bought books. I wasn't an idiot. I tell people I was self-taught, but I was taught by an idiot. And I just bought books and learned about that sort of stuff, and arranging and the range of instruments and that sort of thing. And and the other secret I'll tell all the viewers out there is always play with people better than you. If you're the best guy in the band, you're not going to learn a thing. You got to play with people better than you. And as you get in the business more, you realize that people that are better than you can lift you up, and then you can actually play better when you're with guys that are really good.
And it's no different than if you're a baseball player, a hockey player.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you play with better folk, you will naturally become
You have to
better.
keep up.
You mentioned about getting your first guitar at 7. And do you remember that guitar?
I just was going through pictures. My parents both passed a few years ago, but my wife and I were going through old pictures, and I found one of me and my dad standing there with our guitars. He had a Harmony Sovereign, and I had a Stella. The binding was painted on, was just white paint.
Oh, wow.
And it had a cord that came with it, to put around your shoulder. It was terrible, but I remember the guitar.
Do you know where that guitar is?
If the universe is all right, it's probably been burned years ago because it was a terrible guitar. But it was my first. But I went through a progression of about 6 or 7 until I finally got to a decent quality guitar.
I would say that guitar would probably go down as one of Canada's country music favorite
No,
guitars.
you're-
No, I would say that because it belonged to Wendell Furguson when he was 7. That's what makes, and I always talk about, who's going to fill their shoes? You know, that old that old
George
song,
Jones, yeah.
that old George song. Who's going to fill their shoes? And it's about that and this is one of the things about this television broadcast is to try to get folks like you and I, and not that I'm in your circle, but at least as far as our age, to deliver what we know, what we've learned, and how important it is to be musical and how that can enrich your life. And hopefully we can get a younger demographic interested in what we're doing, so we can have some folks fill the shoes as we move on.
I'm sure there will be people, because some people, it takes them over like a drive. I know a young kid up in Newmarket. I say young kid, I met him when he was 15, he's 19 now, but he was on fire at 15 and he only picked up the guitar at 9. And so in those 6 years, he'd come further in 6 years than I had in 50. He blows me out of the water, and I love him. I told his father, I'm going to have to break his hands. It's just survival.
Yeah,
it's nothing personal.
How do you get rid of competition? You get rid of competition.
Well, actually, I welcome it, because when you do a gig with him, he kicks your ass. He's like the guy I was talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I got to really play good because he's really good. So you really got to pull up your game, and it's just a thing. And I don't find anything wrong with young musicians today. I think they're good. I wish I was that age where I could go to YouTube and see lessons how to play certain songs. It's like I would have been way ahead.
So it really fast tracks.
It really does.
Compared
it
to
does.
before, sure.
If you're digging, if you're a digger and you want to go there, the information's there for you to pull up. Whereas usually, at the Beatles, they had to get on a bus and drive all the way across Liverpool to the another side. Somebody over there knew how to make a B7 chord, and they didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's the thirst for knowledge. You want to be better, and it's just a wacky thing. And I found it through my way. I was struggling it. I'm not a natural musician like my friend in Newmarket there. It just comes to him, whereas I had to work at it. It was practicing and all that. But once I did work 1 week once, and I thought, this is not for me. There's a better way to make a living than this. So I just really dug in on the guitar. My dad was great, because he said, I'll support you for a year after high school. I'll support you for a year, but I want to see 6 hours of practice, and that's what Segovia does. I want to see 6 hours out of you a day. And I did it gladly. It was like, yeah. And I didn't even do the year. I was on a band, about half. I left home at 17. It was like I was working already. I'd come home Sunday and get my laundry done. Mom would do my laundry, and it's like, where are you next week? I'm in London. Nice. And I'd be gone. And it was like, I was never a problem to them, because I was out doing what I loved doing.
And you were working.
I was working, and from 17 it was great.
It's funny, there's no different than hockey players. There's different levels from novice to wherever. It's kind of like this in this industry too. There's different circles and different levels, up and down, and there's great in all of the levels. I remember a time I was going to do a show with a friend, a mutual friend, Steve Petico. And it was like 2 in the morning, and I was about to do the first show that I've ever done with Steve Petico, and all that surrounds that. And I was given some advice at 2 in the morning when I threw it out to another friend of ours, Bill Carruthers. I said to Billy at 2 in the morning, I said, the funny thing about playing tomorrow with Steve Petico is I am so full of anxiety, because I'm going to play with, he says, but Paul, you won't get paid any more money, so don't waste your time. Do you ever get intimidated when you're playing with some artists?
You know what? I have an attitude about that. It used to throw me when I was playing with really, really good guys. And now it's sort of like, I'm past that. If somebody can do something you can't do, it's like, well, then he should be doing it. I'm kind of like, I embrace that. It's like, I know I have my own voice, my own thing I do. And I do a gig with Steve. We do a yearly gig. It's called Guitar Mayhem. And me and him and a guy named Sean McCullough, and we do this thing. We pack the venue, and it's great. And we don't plan a show. We just call tunes. It's just straight country. And we got 3 good guys behind us, and it's like, this song, this key, 15-11. 3, 4, 1,
and you go.
And we go, and it's so exciting. And it, like I said, it's like you're playing with the NHL at that point. The guys are all good; they know what they're doing, and there's no rehearsal. It's just you're winging a prayer, and I love that. And Steve can do.
And it keeps it fresh.
It keeps it very fresh.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what he's going to play. He doesn't know what I'm going to play,
Nice.
and we don't even know what the next song
nice.
is.
That's
But
what makes it cool.
it's very cool.
Folks, we're going to be right back with some more Wendell Furguson on CMiTV Country Music Internet Television. Don't go away. We got a real sweet surprise for you.
You're watching Country Music Internet Television, providing worldwide support and promotion of new and classic country music.
Hey folks, welcome back to CMiTV Country Music Internet Television. I'm Paul Anthony, the host of this episode, with a wonderful good friend and an amazing Canadian musician, Mr. Wendell Furguson. Wendell, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Well, I want to pick up kind of where we left earlier. I have a couple of real easy questions that I think some of the viewers would be interested to know a little bit about Wendell Furguson. I think the first one, though, before we can get to a question, is if you had advice for someone who wanted to write music or wanted to learn to play guitar or has some interest but really, and has the passion, but just... What would you tell them to do to help them along? What would be your best, if there was any advice that you have, Wendell Furguson advice, the number one advice that you would give someone that wanted to start out in the music industry?
Well, I've always had good advice before. I didn't know what my talents were. I wasn't sure. I knew I wanted to make music. I wasn't sure what I was good at. And I found as people could see me and they saw something that I couldn't see. I still don't see it sometimes, but they saw something, and people would see something and help me along in my journey. And I find when you look back, it's like, wow, if that guy hadn't taken me under his wing and done something nice to me. I found a lot of people I know, not to talk this bad about it, but some younger people come up to me and their goals seem to be, I want to be rich and famous, which seems to be a thing now, rich and famous. And I tell them, rich and famous are not goals. They're not goals. They're byproducts of doing a good job. If you do a great job at what you're doing, you will be rich, you'll make money, and you will be famous. But fame is, I think that's fleeting, and people who really want it, it satisfies their ego, but it's not a glamorous business.
It's not fulfilling.
When you're changing your tire just after hitting a moose on the Trans-Canada in a snowstorm, it's not a glamorous business, you know. It's like we're out there. That brings me to the big piece of advice. Do it for the right reasons, because you love music, and you would do it even if you weren't getting paid. It's like you said earlier, hockey. There's all levels of hockey, and there's nothing wrong with playing minor hockey, and there's nothing wrong with a men's league where it's totally for fun. You know, lots of times I do gigs that are totally for fun, because it's not all about the professional thing and playing the mortgage. You take a gig for different reasons, and it's with people you like, or you're playing with good musicians. There's lots of reasons, but do it for the right reasons, and that's always to make good music and to, you know, whether you're a writer or a player or anything like that. And the other thing, the 10,000 hour rule. I never heard about that when I was a kid, because it's a recent concept, but it's true. I took art drawing one time, and the guy said, "All right, folks, we've got 10,000 bad drawings in us. Let's get rid of them." And it's just, you got to do it again and again and again and again. And this is a 6-second pose. You got to get a picture in 6 seconds, and then you're on to the next one. And then when you look at your work at the end of the day, it's like terrible, garbage. Oh, I kind of got her leg there. That probably looks good. You get little pieces of stuff. And then it's same with writing songs. In Nashville, they say the first 1,000 don't count. It's like, well, I've written 800 songs. It's like, yeah, well, when you get 1,000,
you're almost there.
You're almost there.
Yeah.
It's you got to do it enough that it's a professional thing, and you know how to do it. You don't get you have to get emotionally involved with songs, obviously, but you have to learn from your mistakes and make them better all the time.
So if I was to make a synopsis out of what you just explained there, what my take from that advice would be, do it for the right reason.
I think so. That's a yeah. Cool. That's a reason to get in any kind of thing that you're doing. Yeah.
Sure.
Don't look for shortcuts.
Please give me your most favorite, heartfelt, sincere, take it to the grave road story.
Road story? Oh, I couldn't tell any on TV. They're all pretty gross. But I was just thinking, you're a big Johnny Cash fan. I have a guitar like this. Is one of Paul's guitars. Someone's defaced it on him. But I have about 15 or 16 signatures on. I have one like this as a Guild. It's a 1970 Guild or something like that. And it's all covered with signatures. I got some great names on there. And one of the early ones, I know you're a big Johnny Cash fan. So I met Johnny in June, and they were playing the Peace Festival in Fort Erie. I was with George Fox. It was 92. And we did our show, and then I brought the guitar along because I knew they were going to be there. And I had a Sharpie, and They all drove in separate buses, one for the crew, one for each guy, and one for the band. So there was 6 buses there. And they each, slowly as it came showtime, they got off their bus. And June and Johnny came over, and he was very nice. He said, "Mr. Cash, you want my name and your guitar?" And he did it. And then, and I said, "And Miss Carter, would you?" "Oh, certainly." And she signed very nicely under him. And then Waylon signed and Willie signed. And then last guy out of his bus was Chris, and he kind of stumbled out of his bus. And I thought, oh, here we go. And he comes up to me, and he's heading on the stage. He said, "Mr. Christopherson, could you?" "I haven't got time for that shit." And he went on stage, and I thought, darn, I missed it. I could have had all 4 of them, and I missed him. But we had backstage passes because we were opening act, so I waited back there, and I watched his set, and they did a song together, and then they each did a hit, and they went around through twice. By the second round, he had to pee because he'd been drinking. And so he waited till the song was over, and then he came over to my side of the stage, and I was the only guy there. And I said, he said, "Where's the guy go to the washroom around here?" I said, "Right down there, the green door." So he goes down the stairs and goes to the green door, and they sing another song. And then he comes back up, and he can't go on stage because they're in the middle of a song. You know, he's waiting by the wings. He says, "Have you got time now?" And I'd already helped him with the washroom.
Yeah,
he says,
yeah.
"Oh, all right. And he scribbled it on there.
Sweet.
So I got it.
How
So I
nice
got all
is
4
that?
of them, plus Gordon Lightfoot and Ian Tyson. And,
So, folks, it doesn't matter what level you're at. Even Wendell Furguson adores and admires people in the industry just like we do. So it's important to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. And Wendell just explained, for him, the right reason is to have some amazing world country music talents sign his guitar so he has a keepsake that he can keep with him. Folks, what I'd like to do at this point is I'd like to get Wendell to showcase some of his guitar ability and playability and show you what an amazing talent he is. Well decorated, probably the most decorated country guitar picker in all of Canada, plays here in Canada and the US, and is in demand like nobody's business. If you want Wendell to work with you, I think it's about a 6-month wait, and this is one of the reasons why. Check it out, Mr. Wendell Ferguson.
That's the song got me out of prison. Just fooling around.
Mr. Wendell Ferguson on CMiTV Country Music Internet Television. What I'd like to do maybe is to have Wendell take us out with a little...
Here.
There it is right there. Folks, I'm Paul Anthony from CMiTV Country Music Internet Television with Mr. Wendell Ferguson, Canadian country superstar. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you down the road real soon. We'll see you soon.
You're watching Country Music Internet Television, providing worldwide support and promotion of new and classic country music.
Hey folks, welcome back to CMiTV Country Music Internet Television. I'm Paul Anthony, hosting another episode of this platform to promote worldwide country music in Canada, United States. In fact, worldwide promotion and a platform for all of that. And what's real important is to know that not just having guitar players or writers or side people on a show or producers or promoters like Jim Cressman, and it's about the people that actually play the music for us to get what we do out there. So really, really proud to have Mr. Dave Woods. Dave Woods has an internet radio show in Canada, and Dave's focus is country music and delivering what we do as music makers to the world via radio. Dave, welcome.
Great to be here,
Oh,
Paul.
no,
Thank you so much. My honor.
I'm glad you're here because it's our TV show, it's your radio show,
Yep.
it's all platforms to get what we do as music makers and players out to the world. So
Absolutely.
What's the name of your radio show?
It's called In the Country.
And tell me about it.
Sure. I've been doing it about 9 years. Do about 4 interviews a week, so I tape on Tuesday nights. And we've got a lot of episodes out there. Country artists that are new, country artists that are established, biggest names out there. And the show is a chance to get to know that artist better. How they write songs, how they got started in music, what obstacles they've overcome to get where they are. So I want it to be not only interesting for a music fan, but even other singer-songwriters. Maybe we'll learn something about songwriting from it, or overcoming those obstacles, if they're an independent artist, for example. Picking up tips that way.
Now, is your station based on classic country music or new country music or just across the board that serves all the demographic in that genre?
Right. It serves everything. So I'm looking at, and that's, I guess, coming from me as a music fan, as a country music fan. I grew up, my dad played Hank Williams in the house all the
Nice,
time.
yeah.
So I grew up knowing that and never having a problem with it. You know, some people rebel against country music.
Sure.
If
Even
they're-
today.
Even today.
Even certain artists, and we won't remember. We won't mention any church names, but we'll keep that to ourselves.
There you go.
But go ahead.
Exactly. But I never didn't like it. So I was introduced to Hank Williams and all the other artists. I discovered country radio at a very young age, fell in love with it, bought all the albums, loved all the artists.
Yeah.
So when I do the show, I don't have a preference to classic country or new country. I like it all.
Sure.
I like that whole brand of whatever falls under that umbrella.
So you grew up with country music.
I did.
And you mentioned some artists
Yeah.
from then. Artists that we try to today find out who's going to fill their shoes.
Right.
Here's the thing.
Sure.
One artist that is your absolute most heartfelt favorite.
Probably of all time, it's Kenny Rogers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And what would be your favorite song? Mine was Ruby that he did. I enjoyed that song.
Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to
Yeah.
Town. Probably The Gambler, which is an easy one
Oh,
to
yeah.
say.
Yeah.
There are She Believes in Me.
Oh, pretty song.
I love that one as
Yeah.
well. There are so many of his songs.
engagements were based on that song.
Right.
On a Friday night somewhere.
Beautiful song through the years as well.
Uh-huh.
I was a fan of his from when I first discovered him to the current stuff he's put out in the last 5 years.
Let's
when he
move to
was
new
recording.
country.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
There are so many right now. I love Megan Patrick,
Yeah.
who is from the Ontario area and doing amazing. She's out on tour.
out there all over the
Yeah.
place. I like her hair. I learned something about her.
Okay.
She chews tobacco.
I did not know that.
I learned that not long ago, and I thought, well, how cool is that?
I know she hunts.
Yeah.
And I know that she's a real country girl in that respect.
Oh, yeah.
But I love her new song, Country Music Made Me Do It.
Nice.
And that album is incredible. The James Barker Band, she is on tour with them, and they're doing so well.
Yeah.
And in the States, there's a traditionalist out now, John Party.
Yeah.
Who's probably had 4 or 5 songs out. And his newest one is called She Ain't In It.
Wow.
And that's about as country as you can get. It's sort of
Sure.
a Mark Chestnut, George Strait kind of song,
Sure.
but it's on radio today. So for me, getting back to the range of music, when I listen to country radio, ideally I want to hear some old stuff, some old sounding stuff, some new stuff, and everything in between. I don't want it all to be one or the other. I like the
Sure.
variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me, do you play guitar?
I do not. I write lyrics, but I don't play.
So you're a songwriter?
Yeah.
So tell me how old you were when you wrote your first song.
I was probably as young as 11 or 12.
11 or 12?
Yeah.
Do you
What-
still have that song?
You know what? One of the earliest ones that I wrote was, the title was Love Left Behind a Broken Heart Tonight. Mm-hmm. It was something like, love's supposed to be strong, it's supposed to be right, but love you left behind a broken heart tonight.
Wow.
One of the early ones, I don't know where I got the inspiration from, probably from other country songs, right?
Sure.
Don't think I'd had my heart broken at that point. But early on, before I connected with songwriters, I would see ads in the back of magazines, which I think are still there. Send us whatever amount of money and we'll set your lyrics to music. So as a kid who didn't have any connections, and I just thought that was cool. And so I did a bit of that.
Oh.
So, and I would get these cassettes back in the mail.
Nice.
And the quality ranged, but it was my start. And then
Sure.
after that, I connected with actual songwriters who, Barry Brown being one of them from the family Brown.
Nice, nice. What a wonderful family as well. Not just musicians, but great
people as well.
You know, a good friend of mine who's passed with us, or passed on, not with us now. Rest his soul is Terry Sumption, and Terry taught me a long time ago, and the importance of in the industry is not just get or associate with great musicians, associate with the right people who give of themselves, and like most people say, you know, in it for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
Tell me, why radio?
Interesting. I think country music led me to radio. Years ago, I went to Centennial College for radio and television. Initially, I wanted to do something in television, host a show or write, and the teacher said, you know, you got a pretty good voice, maybe you should try radio. And I was passionate about country music back then. I thought, well, I'm going to go to a country station, and I knew nobody in my particular class liked it or listened to it at that time. And I thought, I'm going to have the market cornered because I'm going to have the knowledge and the passion.
No competition.
There you go, exactly.
Yeah.
If it was sports or rock and roll, I might have a lot of competition, but at that time in that class, and I assumed, you know, elsewhere, maybe I might have something unique. So that sort of was the decision to get into radio. And then I actually worked at a station up north for quite a while in Aurelia at a country station on air. And then there was a break in between that, and then I started the podcast 9 years ago, which is my own thing, obviously. I run it myself.
Sure. Yeah.
But that was how radio started. So it wasn't at an early age radio, it was the country music came first, and then radio was the vehicle to explore it more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Your most favorite memory, maybe it has something to do with the Country Music Association of Ontario. Tell me about what happened there.
Absolutely. Back in 2017, they have their awards in June every year. I was nominated for CMA Ontario Industry Person of the Year, which was really cool. I was not expecting it. And of course, with any nomination process, you have the different ballots. So I was on maybe 20 people, then narrowed down to the second ballot. I made it to the final 5. And it was a great honor because I do it, as everybody in music does it, for the love of it.
Sure.
As you said, the right reasons.
Yeah.
Because that's what you actually love and enjoy. But to get that recognition felt wonderful.
It's important to know, number one, that we're in it for the right reasons, and to know that people recognize what you do for the right reasons, to get people into your circle and be involved in the industry, not just to benefit ourselves. Like friends would say, you know, if you're really good at what you do, the rest will come. It's a residual effect to what you do, sure. So it's important to do it for the right reasons, and I appreciate teaming up with your radio show, and you teaming up with us, and really making country music a place to be reckoned with, and to know that it's not over yet. In fact, there's lots of room for growth, and I hope the people in the industry, like Jim Cressman and yourself and myself and Randy Owen and everyone around us, to help out by promoting and making all of our platforms a reason for all of these things. So Dave, I want to thank you for being here. Dave
My
Woods.
pleasure.
And I'm Paul Anthony from CMiTV, Country Music Internet Television. We'll see you down the road real soon.